Hi everyone, so it's a bit of a different one today. We normally talk about the animals and show you what various different animals have been getting up to or what we've been doing with the ground here. But today I actually wanted to talk about staying true to your dreams and remembering what your original dream was all about and breaking this down and staying true to it and actually doing what the dream was instead of maybe getting lost in what the dream should look like. So I'm going to go into it in a bit more detail. In the last couple of weeks, I've lost a really dear friend. She was a true inspiration and a real driving force. And she was a great representation of working towards enjoying and living your dreams. And she was a real cheerleader of mine as well. So when other people may have said, whatever you're doing is ridiculous, quitting, exiting normal life, writing books, blogging, whatever it was, she would always just go with it and support me. And it's really important to have good cheerleaders. Anyway, I've digressed already. So we'll start with my original dream. I was about 5 or 6 years old and I was staying on a farm with my family for the school holidays, and it was a dairy unit. And there were chickens and geese and ducks. Obviously there were cows. I can remember getting up a couple of early mornings and Dad taking us down to the dairy, me and my sister. My brothers wouldn't have been born yet at this stage, and I have got pictures somewhere of us both being pecked by some of these quite excitable geese. And then if you fast forward a few more years, we went to stay on another farm. This time it was a stud farm. And I got to go in with all of the young horses and some of the breeding mares and some of the young foals. And there were lots of cats and dogs at this one as well. My dream grew. What I thought I might want for myself when I was older, I kind of thought I wanted to live on a farm, really, one way or another. One way or another, that's what I wanted. And then kind of, I would say I was probably about 15 years old, and I got my first pony, and we started renting a field, and we've got no idea what we were doing, but I guess this was the beginning of us having our own space that we had to manage and look after, and that an animal was dependent on. And then if you fast forward again, I was about 25 and renting more land and stables. I got 2 horses, and this was now under my all under my own steam. It got nothing to do with my parents, so kind of like the management of that land was very much up to me and the landowner, I suppose, as well, to some degree, who was a proper farmer. And shortly after then, I was sort of being my mid-20s, me and my then husband started to look at getting our own place with some land, and we'd worked out based on our geography, so where we are in the country, and our earnings, what we could afford, and we thought we could afford a nice decent sized house and probably a couple of acres. So at this point I just want to say caution, because I hadn't realised, but at that point I was moving away quite badly from what my original dream was. Because if we remember what was my original dream, it was to live on a farm. Now a farm is not a couple of acres, that's a small holding, and probably only just as far as I'm concerned these days. So yeah, that's kind of like, I moved away from the dream, but I've not really noticed that I was doing it in a bid to compromise with what somebody else's dream was. And there's nothing wrong with that, so long as you're doing it with your eyes open, and I wasn't. I was getting transfixed with this great big house and all kind of like big glass fronted, very fancy looking house, nice cars on the drive. But now I've only got a couple of acres to put my horses in, and I'm not really going to be having any other animals. Anyway, it's shiny, it's clean, it's a large house, there's white towels, there's en-suites, but it doesn't really resemble what my original dream was. So back to what I was saying, having let the cockerel out because it was making too much noise for me to speak to you guys. So it was luck and not judgment, actually, that saw that never happen. Never bought that house, looked at those houses, looked at several, made offers, got part way through buying one, but the relationship actually came to an end and it never happened. And it was probably only then that I started to think about maybe that wasn't quite appropriate for me and my dreams and what I believed in my heart. And I dare to bet it really wasn't appropriate for my ex-husband as well. We were both compromising really badly, trying to meet somewhere in the middle, but it was leading us down an avenue of something that neither of us had ever really intended in the first place. So by this point, I've only got one horse. I've got Laser. I put her on a farm, so she goes to live on a farm for a bit with a friend, and she's the only horse there, but there are lots of chickens and pigs and turkeys and cows. I have to get over my fear of cows and just get on with it. I have to help on multiple occasions with escaped cows and a bull in the field with the horse. It actually turns out that the bull's more placid than any of the cows, but that's a story for another day. It brought me back to my original dreams, because being there, being in that environment, being around all of the stock, it kind of reminded me why I wanted to be outside, why I wanted to be in this world. It wasn't just about the horses. It never was just about the horses. It was about wanting to be around the earth, the mud, the soil, the smelling the grass. I needed to be outside in it for real. And it brought me back to what was my original dream. So my original dream was, I want to live on a farm. So me and Joe started looking at our mortgage and the various rentals that we're paying for workshops, stables, land, blah, blah, blah. We realised quite soon that we couldn't afford to buy what we really wanted, but we could afford to rent it if we grouped it all together and had it under one lid. And we decided on a dilapidated farmhouse. It doesn't fit the bill at all in terms of its suitability for outbuildings. The house was loads bigger than we needed, and there wasn't quite enough land. But these were small compromises that we made, and we invested in doing up the house. We altered and added some outbuildings within the confines of what we're allowed to do from our landlords, and we started renting more land slowly over time, but mainly as our sheep habit got more out of hand. And admittedly, this isn't our own house, and some people would argue that it could be dead money, but let's not forget, we can't afford to buy what we want. So is it really dead money? Is it dead money for us to wake up here, which is where this is going to probably be the closest that we get to live how we want to live? We don't get to say that we own it, but we can afford to do it and to be guardians of this amazing place for now in this period of time. And I think this is almost it. This is almost exactly what we want. The closest neighbour is about half a mile away. I can check the animals in my pyjamas if I'm worried about them in the middle of the night. It's not exactly perfect, but what is? What is perfect? It's probably not quite the acreage that we choose, but unless we're going to win the lottery, or some of the various business ventures that I'm going on take us into a more profitable route, this is what it's going to look like for now. But to me, it's just exactly right. And certainly in the last couple of weeks, I've really started to appreciate it so much more. And the events that have happened to me in the last couple of weeks have reminded me, what was your original dream? So stick with it. What was the most important thing to you in your life? What was that dream? And start to live it. And don't get stuck in how it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like. Think about how it's supposed to feel when you wake up in the morning. You'll know what it was that you were supposed to be doing. What was your original goal? What was the one thing that mattered to you more than anything? And start to think about how you can do it and how you can achieve it. And until I got past not being able to buy somewhere that was my dream home, and just accepting that renting was going to give me the closest match, and also living for the now. I mean, this is what we can do now. Who knows what will be happening in 10-20 years time if we're still lucky enough to be here and make those judgments. But really, remember what your original dream was and stay true. So what was my original dream? I want to live on a farm. Well, lots of people would say it doesn't quite qualify as a farm, it doesn't quite meet the acreage required, but it'll do for me, and I'm not done dreaming yet. So I keep dreaming for more, I keep working towards it, I keep enjoying the stock, keep enjoying the horses, I enjoy waking up here every day. Bits of the house drop off from time to time, and it isn't a shiny white existence. It really isn't. There's a lot of dirt, there's a lot of poo, but you know what? That was my original dream. What was my original dream? I want to live on a farm. So that's it, guys. Stay true to your dreams. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I've been some inspiration to you. And if you could like and subscribe, that would be awesome. Bye bye.